Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Some of them. Okay, I'm with you, sir. Hello, welcome to the Money Radio, the Agri-Business segment of it. My name is Adado Ose. It's a lovely Tuesday afternoon, and here coming in the nation's capital here in Abuja. It's a lovely day to be alive and to be well and to be in the studio and to talk about agriculture, food and agriculture. Until you, our listeners and our followers who are watching this podcast, understand and how to manage agri-business, how to manage a farm, how to manage your food business generally. And of course, today I'm not alone today in the studio. I'm with the one and only Mr. Marcus Zagi from the Jubilee Agro Tech team here with us in the studio. Mr. Marcus, it's a lovely day to be here.
Thank you.
So how's it been really? The stress level is going down now for farm support and all of that. So of course it's good to you're looking fresher and calmer now, unlike during the rainy season where you were just jumping in and out of crisscrossing Abuja, Lagos, and every part of Nigeria.
Well, for now,
It's a calm season.
it's a calm season, but yes, we still have a lot to do considering
Yes.
the fact that this flood problem that does happen, we need to
Do a lot of
couple
management.
yeah, to know and talk to our farmers to go into dry season activities because we know that the flood has caused a lot of damage to the farm. So actually, we don't want to stay hungry. We don't want Nigeria to stay hungry. We are still fighting the security. So we need to step up.
Fantastic. So, of course, that's today. The aim of this conversation today is going to focus on reviewing the just concluded planting season. Of course, here in Nigeria, we're using Nigeria as the more depending on where you're listening to this podcast season conversation from. How would you rate the activity of farmers and, of course, the production cycle of this just concluded wet or rainy season in Nigeria?
Well, so far so good. Unlike the previous years where farmers were just practicing or just doing the normal or the old practice of farming or crop production entirely. And we've tried it as much as we can. The field manpower we have, the field staff we have to educate our farmers on the new improved way of farming, of good agronomical practices, steps to follow, what they need to do in order to maximize their production, to have what to eat and to have a little to sell to cater for their family needs and other needs. You know, it has not been easy anyway, but there are things we cannot deny when it happens, like the natural occurrences that happen, like as I mentioned earlier, like this flood. You know, there's a lot of flood. It causes a lot of destruction or havoc to our crops, and also the roads, the houses. So it has been there was acceptance. The acceptance was very high from farmers, but actually with the natural occurrences, actually there's a very big problem.
A big concern to deal with. So from let's say the seed acceptance, because I know that your team has actually been pushing for farmers to stop planting grains and focus on professional and approved and certified seeds, especially for their crops, because of course, as you have always said, it's the foundation for ensuring a better yield and a better output. How would you rate the use of seed by farmers in Nigeria generally? Is there more? Are there more people who are responding to the use of seeds? Are there local farmers who are upgrading some of this behavior or pattern of planting or choice for seedling generally?
Yeah, you see, initially when we started, we get to notice that there are a lot of farmers who doesn't even know that we have particular seeds that are meant for planting and grains that are meant for consumption. So just they consider everything they see in the market can be planted. And of which when we try to educate them, we go to them, we tell them, no, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get the seed, not the grain. ranging from the stable crops, the vegetables, the tubers, the permanent crops. All those ones, we try to talk to the farmers, and actually there's acceptance because you see a lot of farmers coming in. I want to get this seed. I want to get tomato seed. I
that's
want to
good to
get.
know.
So actually, the acceptance, the level of acceptance is very very encouraging. And I know that if we keep pushing, definitely in a short while, farmers will accept these
Practices.
practices.
But however, uh, the issue of certain seeds that are meant for the rainy season and some that are meant for dry season. I myself, I still struggle with that a lot. Like, you know, my view on okra, for instance. I mean, okra, we were raised, I was raised in Kano. We were doing okra like okra was just okra. And the Jubali team will tell us that okra cannot just be a regular okra seed. So help our listeners to understand the even because we are reviewing the season, some people who have made that mistake, and some may make that mistake entering the dry season farming period now. There are crops. What is the difference between these two crops? Is it that there are two different properties, or how? Why are they so different? Why can't we just plant the same thing for the ones that we planted during the rainy season, and what we are going to plant during the dry season, which is regarded as the irrigation season for
Dry
production?
You see, there is a big difference from the germination percentage. When you plant a hybrid seed, when you plant a certified seed, the percentage of germination is quite different from when you plant a grain, an ordinary seed. Definitely, you see, you have 99% germination. One, and there is high resistance of the soil-borne disease. It has high resistance. It has high yielding, and it doesn't. It has resistance to drought. It has resistance to soil-borne disease, like I mentioned, and the yield output, the duration. It plant the grain. It might take you 120 days, 130 days before you can harvest. What, for example, we just talked about the flood land that happened. For somebody who planted the hybrid variety that he harvested after 75 days, 90 days, he's okay. So for somebody who planted the local variety or the open planted variety or the grain, for example, now it has taken him time before you can harvest because the grain is not yet mature to harvest. So now the crop has to remain on the farm for a longer period of time. And by this, the flood will definitely affect. So if you plant the grain, for example, germination percentage is not there. It's very, very low. High, low resistance to natural occurrences, natural, yeah, like the drought, the excess water or the water loss. High consumption of nutrients, fertilizer. You definitely apply more fertilizer. It consumes a lot of fertilizer. And at the end of the day, if you are in other countries, what you are expected to get 7 to 8 tons or 7 to 10 tons of maize under no good agricultural practices. But you end up getting
for 1 hectare.
from 1 hectare. So you end up getting 1 to 2 tons. So what do you have to eat? What do you have to sell in the market? So definitely the advantages of planting hybrid variety, good seed, is very, very high compared to local variety. So not just only the grains. It's applicable to all crops. All crops. If you are planting tomato, if you are planting onion, if you are planting cabbage, if you are planting tomato, pepper, it's all the same. So it's applicable to all crops. Farmers need to change their own mentality of planting grains
Instead of professional certified seed. So this just past farming season, there's a major experience we had, which I was also involved with Mr. Marcos. You remember the farmer in Kwali that wanted to set up the soybeans farm. So I got a report yesterday that there was no germination of those soybeans they planted in August did not even germinate one. So we're not even talking about harvest or anything on the farm. I'm bringing it up because I knew you insisted on the certified seed for as far as that planting exercise was concerned. And I remember you saying vividly that if the farmer was not going to stick to the professional seeds and what you have recommended and the Jubali team has recommended, you are not going to put your name, the company name at stake. to supervise or to be involved in that production sector.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's sad that the farmer virtually lost everything from that exercise. The ground was prepared. People were hired to do the planting. They bought. They went to Kwali market and basically bought tons and bags of 2 bags
Grains.
of
Soya grains.
soya grains. And I remember vividly passing the message to the farmer, and the farmer was like, that's all the locals in that area, that's the kind of seed they are planting, and they are getting yield. And I told him, the local people may not come to explain to you because there are other things that your farm is a big farm, and then you are just within your space. I mean, it's 100,000, 100 hectare farm, and you are operating it as there's no local person who will just come and tell you this is the kind of seed I plant. Even when they buy professional seed, you may not even know how it's properly managed. But it's sad to report to you on a live in a podcast like this that that farmer, I don't want to call his name, but I know he's a big fan and he may be watching this. And I hope he has also learned his lesson because when I got the news yesterday, I'm yet to have a conversation with him on that issue to this moment.
I see this is a practical example of what I've been saying. At Dubai, the technical service, the agronomical service we render to farmers is free of charge. You don't pay us for consultancy, you don't need to pay us for. We render those services for free. We teach the farmers. We are professionals. We teach the farmers. This is what you should do. This is where you should get your grain. This is the time of insecticide herbicide application, pre-planting, pre-emergence, post-emergence. If you have challenges of insect or infestation in your farm, if you have challenges of fungal disease in your farm, we recommend good active ingredient for you, good active ingredient chemicals for you. And now Jubeli we are shifting from use of old generation of chemicals to new generation of chemicals to biocide, to organic, healthy farming
Solutions.
All these services we are rendering them for free. And you see now with the collaboration with the World Bank, now the World Bank has said, okay, Jubeli has been trying, let's come in and support them. Now the World Bank is coming in. And that's what we are still working to see how we collaborate with the government also. Because these farmers definitely, they need this information. They need this vital information for them to grow. They need this vital information and support for them to step up, for us to have food security and even access to it and export.
Fantastic. So we'll go on a quick short break, and then when we return, we're going to talk about to conclude on this discussion. Of course, my name is Adado Ote, and of course, I'm your Agro King here on this radio, and we're discussing the just concluded raining season, planting season. And of course, we'll return back shortly as we continue the conversation. Thank you.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
So welcome back to the Money Radio, or of course the Agri-Business segment of it. My name is Adado Ote, and of course I'm not here alone in the studio. We're here with Mr. Marcos Zagi, an agronomist with the Jibali Agrotech team. Of course, also doing justice, and we're reviewing the just concluded dry season farming in Nigeria, and of course around the West African coast of West African region generally. And of course, this show, feel free to share this conversation and also send us your question on this podcast, and then we'll find time to see how we can respond to all your questions and then provide answers to your concerns and your contributions as well. And of course, Mr. Marcos, so this whole thing that we're doing a lot of education for farmers, and of course, it's one of the main reasons why this podcast is also out to educate farmers and to make sure that we make best of agri business in Nigeria generally. As it is at the moment, how will you also rate the possible output? You talk about the weather, the flood that has done a lot of damage. Are we hopeful that something can still come out of what crops are we likely that may survive this whole flooding impact from that region, and what crops can also still give us some hope of possible outputs. Because I'm one of the advocates of giving some level of hope, especially to people in the industry. What kind of crops do you think may survive or may not survive this whole flooding exercise of this season?
You know, for decades now, Nigeria have not experienced this kind of.
I think 12 years. They say this happens every 12 years or so. It's a trend.
So, so there is no crop that can survive this flood. But what we are telling the farmers,
Catfish survive it.
everything is washed away. The topsoil is washed away. The houses are washed away. Trees are washed away. These are permanent crops. They are washed away.
Wow.
So no
So,
crop
so
can
the smaller
survive.
crops.
So even the smaller crops, they can't survive.
Ooh, now I feel more for.
So
those
what
farmers.
we are trying to tell the farmers, the rain usually starts from the middle belt, start around May.
Mm.
When you have, if you are planting a maize, you plant a hybrid variety. This hybrid variety have their maturity
60 days,
75 days.
75 days.
So you get this crop, you plant them, you work on this crop, and you harvest them even before. You will not experience it.
So the flooding
So-
normally comes in from around July, August, right?
July, August, September.
August, September.
So this one happens even in October, not.
So that's the amazing thing, because just when we're thinking that, like personally, I remember being on the show and somebody was talking about the weather and the flood and everything, and in fact, we were a part of the headlines of some of the things we talked about on that show, that it was about the flooding, because Nimet was actually raising the alarm and said we should still expect a flood. So people were like, in October, how do you expect? At the end of the day, the flood still came in October and did a lot of damage.
Yeah, and, you know.
So maybe is it that we're not taking note of the climate change or a lot of other things that are hitting us hard in this part of the
we
world?
have a lot of farmers who doesn't adhere to instructions, who are still believing in what they used to believe. Any farmer or any other person who stays in the place for 10 years and nothing happens, and you are telling him that something
May
may
happen.
happen, he wouldn't want to believe you, and he will tell you that I've been here for 10 years and nothing has happened, nothing of such has happened. And it's the same when you tell a farmer, initially when you tell a farmer that no, don't plant this variety,
Plant
it's-
this other
it's
variety.
open pollinated variety or it's a local variety. Plant the hybrid variety. He will tell you, even my fathers have been planting this variety and they've been feeding us with it. So it is, but we will not stop. We will not give up. We will still taking this, we'll take this information to the farmers. Definitely they will believe. And now that they have seen it, it has happened in real life, it is time to take the advantage of occurrence and go to the farmers and educate them. And I will solicit that this should not be left alone for a particular agency. This should be
It should be a
collective
collective
effort.
form of education, because
Education.
Agric has a very unique way of impacting almost every segment of our society. This will affect other industry that may be relying on raw materials from the farm.
It will affect the economy because the agriculture contributes 35% of
Total GDP.
So an unemployment at 6% employment rate. So you see, if these two sectors are affected, you know that there will be a very big problem.
And our oil is not stable.
And the oil is not stable.
Mm.
And the roads are washed away. The transportation also is
Become a big issue.
problem. Market.
But Mr. Marcos, I was thinking that the issue of certain crops surviving, do you know, because I was thinking, I think things like some of the tubers can survive this, like the cassava and yams and all that. That was actually some of the things on my mind, that some of them may survive the flood. But you talk about the body of water that passed through; it's quite heavy and high.
It's quite heavy and high. If you look at the aftermath of this flood, you see that the ground are just flat, as if nothing has ever happened in these areas. So the disaster is massive.
Wow. So I mean, what would be your closing remark? I think at this stage, what would be your closing remark to the farmer? Let's talk to the farmer, or somebody who owns an investment in this segment of the market, either because whether you are a crop farmer, poultry farmers were affected, crop people who had pigs had to move. Some were lucky; they were able to move some of their cattle and other large animals to higher grounds. But there were some other animals that they just could not move. Imagine moving you can't even move a whole chicken farm to one location. And when you have like 10,000 birds or 20,000 birds, what kind of field are you going to move them to?
Now it's in agriculture. Anybody who wants to start agriculture, we always advocate for the site selection is very very important.
Site selection.
Yes, site.
Not everywhere should be a farm.
Not everyone should be a farm. Site selection is very very important because of to avoid these natural occurrences. Because we do not know when they are coming. But when it's not the end of the world, if we miss it out in the rainy season, we are here and we will never stop advancing the farmers. We never stop giving out the vital information that farmers need to improve their life and farming. And the dry season now is coming, and at Villa Agri-Tech, we are all year round available to do the rainy season activities and dry season activities as well. So the dry season is coming now. This time around, you control your water. The water will not control you. There will not be flood. You control
absolute
your water,
control, and which is why I think we really need to encourage people to do a lot of dry season
activity. Yeah, we have now. Initially farmers used to go for flood irrigation, and this one affects the soil also by washing away
soil. Certain nutrients.
So now we have drip irrigation. This one you lay them on the ridges, you control the water. It's 10 minutes irrigation you want to do, depending on your crop, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And even fertilizer application, you don't need to employ a lot of labor to be apply fertilizer. Your crops, you have the tank there, you just mix it and do fertilization. Things are getting easier now. Farming is getting easier, unlike the issue. So farmers, we are here, we give you the right information, bring out, come out and accept this good agronomical practices we are teaching. Definitely, our lives will never lose.
So, of course, at this point, we would come to the close of this edition of the Money Radio Agri-Business segment of the show. And of course, just like Mr. Marcus has also mentioned, that it's another season and another new opportunity. While we're reviewing the rainy season, this new season we are approaching, which is the dry season, is also another opportunity to invest and reinvest and also try out other methods of production. Of course, my name is Adadu Ote, and I'm your host on this segment of the show. And I want to say, do have a lovely week ahead. And make sure you eat something from the farmer. Not that the farmers are going through a lot of hard times. I think it's also a very good time to support farmers with extra. When you are paying for something from any farmer directly, please make sure you pay extra. I think, Dr. Marcos, that's not a wrong thing to do. That would be right and appropriate for people to do, especially for people who also are well-to-do. They can support farmers. In fact, I also want to use this opportunity to call out and most of our politicians. I think this is a very good time to go and reach out to people in your community. If your community is flooded, please find a way to reach out to the farmers.
Not for campaign.
Not for campaign, yes. Not for campaign. Please go and help them with seed, help them with chemical. I'm now giving them free ideas. Help them with chemicals. They can recover from these little things, and production can be better in the next coming season. And then we can have a better and a healthier nation, people who are eating healthy and staying healthy. My name is Adad Wota. Of course, it's a bye from me, and then do have a lovely week ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.